Let me know when you hit live and we'll see.
I did hit
All
live.
right, I got it. Yep, it came right up. Let's see what happens here. Yep, it's live. And it looks like it's moving pretty good.
And can you hear yourself?
Let's see if they could. Yeah, much. They're saying much better. Looks amazing. Can you hear us both? Looks good, and they can hear us both.
I
How
can't
about
see
that?
anything in the chat, but
I can see the chat screaming.
okay.
I'm on the. I would say for your end, Stephanie, keep just the bare minimum of what you need open because your computer is doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep the chat open, you can. But
I don't see the chat, so I
if
did before
I
and now I don't.
I basically went on to our YouTube. I opened up another screen and I went on to our YouTube page and I just opened the live and muted the live itself.
Okay.
So when you're ready, I'll like give us a quick intro and we'll go into it.
I wish I could see the chat.
You can see the chat.
Yeah, I used to be able to see it here in this, but now I
Nah,
can't,
you
but
can
that's fine.
definitely just do what I did. Just open a window.
I mean, let's try it.
Yeah, if you just open the window, go on Crime Weekly, you'll see it. Guys, we're just giving people a minute. Thank you for bearing with us. We finally got it good.
Hopefully.
Stephanie is super quiet. Can you raise your audio a little bit,
It's just
Stephanie? Or
because I moved away from my mic.
it's because she moved away from her mic. Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
They're saying they hear me better than Stephanie. I can hear you both of the same. Can't hear Steph. Stephanie's microphone volume up.
Okay. um, all right.
If you have your volume all the way up, you have it all the way up. You are low in my ears as well.
Let me look. Hello? What about now? I don't know what I'm doing.
We've established that. This has been, for you guys that can hear me, this has been a struggle for me to sit here and just be at the mercy of Stephanie's ability to navigate technology. It's been a struggle.
What
They're
about now?
saying it's a little better. Is
What
that
about
like the
now?
absolute? They're saying it's better.
What about now?
Just
Oh my
really, really
goodness.
get up on your mic.
No, I had I don't know what I'm doing.
We know.
I don't
They're
know.
saying it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna go with it. Yeah, you just got to talk into your mic.
Okay. Only on one side.
Yeah, we knew that.
Well, your audio's only on one side.
Yeah.
Hmm. Audio input.
Can you lower my volume a little bit and then people can just turn up their volume?
How does it sound? Better?
It does sound better. Did you have the simple question? I know it's stupid, but do you have your volume meter all the way up?
The volume or the gain?
Yeah, like on your Scarlet.
The volume or the gain?
The gain. Turn your
How's
gain up.
that?
Yeah, there's a little bit more gain. Let's see what people. I can hear you louder now, so let's hear what people say. All right, say give a quick test.
Now I feel like I can hear even myself swallow. I don't like this. Echo. Audio.
Split the difference on that gain.
I'm going to try something. How do I sound now?
I get what they're saying. You sound a little bit like a robot.
How do I
Yeah,
sound
it's
now?
skinny. Oh, wait. Talk now.
How do I sound now?
Yeah, you sound like you're like Wi-Fi connected. In the future, guys, what we're gonna do in the future, we're gonna probably just roll with it tonight because it's a Friday night. You guys have plans. We have plans. I gotta go see my kids. So we were trying to hop onto this live. It's a bonus episode. This is a new thing we're gonna try to do. We apologize if the audio isn't perfect tonight. I will navigate this and figure it out on my end
How about
going
now?
forward. We'll do some test runs.
Much better?
And
They said it's good.
no, it's not. It's not
They
good.
said it's good.
I can
That's
hear you and it's
perfect.
not good. Okay.
She sounds great. Now it's good.
Got Guys, thumbs up if she sounds like a robot, thumbs down if she sounds perfect. And trust me, you sound like a robot to me. I'm hoping they say that you don't to them because that's perfect. That's all I care about. Okay, leave it as is. They're saying you sound good. You sound like a robot to me, but who cares? So, okay. So, welcome to the bonus episode. We got this right away. No problems at all. No issues. Worked out flawlessly. Stephanie and I have been talking. We know we've been doing the episodes, but we really wanted to get back to our roots, and we're going to try to do lives more going forward. It's going to be more conversational, interacting with you guys in the chat. We really want to work out all the kinks. A lot of people have been doing the YouTube membership as well, where you guys get like special emojis, get bonus episodes. So if you're watching on YouTube, welcome. You can see us. If you're listening on audio, welcome as well. Again, apologize if the audio is off at all. We will figure it out and it'll be perfect next time. So, Stephanie, why don't you talk about why we're here tonight? Because you were the one that kind of suggested this, and it's a pretty popular topic right now.
I mean, we wanted to talk a little bit about Diddy. We just finished the second week of the federal trial against Sean Combs, and there was so much. I mean, I've been following it every single day. I've been watching the creators who are following it. It's a federal trial, so it's not going to be broadcast. And I just think that so many shocking things have come out. I had like 14 pages of notes. I sent them to Derek last night
Yep.
so he could sort of catch up. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over some testimonies, some things that are going on. But first, I think it's important to talk about, because it's a federal trial, what he's being charged with, and pretty much why the government thinks that they can continue charging him with things and that they're going to get a guilty verdict. Because I've heard a lot of people talk about this is a domestic violence case, and it's not. The first week was basically Diddy's ex-girlfriend of over a decade, Cassie Ventura, and her testimony about her time with Sean Combs and what happened as far as physical abuse, financial abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse. And so there's a lot of people, men and women, who are kind of on the internet giving their opinions, saying, why are we listening to this testimony? This sounds like domestic violence. And what I can promise you is that the United States government is not going to waste all of these time and resources and money on a domestic violence case. Cassie's testimony, I believe, is a foundation to things that they're going to continue to prove. And Derek, do you want to quickly go over what he's been charged with, what the United States government is claiming?
So I know the big charge, and people are saying in here that what is racketeering, and we'll get to that. So
RICO,
I think it was
right?
right in your notes, the exact charges here at the top. I saw it. There's a bunch of charges, but overall, what page was it on? Okay, it was initially
So if you
this was
go
the lawsuit
all
initially.
Yeah, so if you go all the way to the bottom, I kind of said, well, so what the government's trying to prove is sex trafficking
Yeah,
and racketeering, which is
correct.
the RICO charge. And a
Yep.
RICO charge is a blanket sort of charge that it was initially come up with in like the 1970s to go after huge criminal syndicates like the mafia.
Yeah.
And it's kind of now merged into a federal tool that prosecutors use in cases involving gangs, drug cartels, corrupt corporations, and then also high profile figures like Sean Combs. So, in plain terms, the government is saying this person did not just commit a crime, they created, they led, or they were part of an organization whose whole purpose
Yes.
was to commit multiple crimes, and they did this over time in a coordinated way, like a business operation. And under the law, the prosecution must prove that a criminal enterprise existed. So this wasn't just a one time scheme. This was a long, structured group, formal or informal, that was committed to breaking the law. That the defendant, Sean Combs in this case, was associated with the enterprise. They were part of it or they helped operate it. And that they engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity. This means two or more related crimes, called predicate act, within a 10-year period, such as sex trafficking, kidnapping, drug distribution, money laundering, witness tampering, bribery, extortion, murder. And I don't understand why people are saying they don't think that the government is well on their way to proving this, because they are, even with Cassie's testimony being mainly based on the domestic and sexual violence that happened between herself and Sean Combs. It's showing that he basically coerced her into performing these sex acts, and also that he had people, employees and such, who assisted him in these acts. And then there's also tons and tons of drugs included, which includes apparently ecstasy tablets shaped like President Obama's head, which is weird, but there we are.
Yeah. So, in addition to everything you just said, in many instances, when it comes to racketeering, it includes some type of profit
Mm-hmm.
that's being gained from it. And when you think about the term racketeering, what is racketeering? It's a racket, right? That's where it's derived from. So, a racket or an enterprise or an organization of a group of people, and this isn't like some official group of people, but it's a series of individuals who are working together collaboratively to carry out multiple crimes. And when you look at this, I'm not saying I agree with this, but the argument is going to be made that most of the crimes being discussed, specifically by Cassie, are voluntary. She wanted to do it, right? They're bringing up text messages where they're showing her saying, I can't wait for another FO, which was referred to, which was short for freak
Freak
off,
off, yeah.
and that she was doing this because she wanted to make Diddy happy, and that all participants involved in these parties, these white parties, these freak offs, they all wanted to be there. And the guys who weren't there voluntarily were hired. They were male escorts. They were paid to be there. And so the defense is going to come in there and say, oh, this was done, because they all wanted to be there or they were paid to be there. But there are other things that are already coming out. And I was saying it earlier where this goes much higher than just these sex parties, right? Because you have this alias that Diddy was using, Frank Black. And one of the things, amongst many things, including the 1,000 bottles of lube or baby oil that they
Johnson
found,
and Johnson baby oil.
was these pill bottles that were
Mm-hmm.
prescribed to a Frank Black.
And a
And
Frank
as we
White,
all know,
yeah.
Sean Combs' real name is not Frank Black. So he had like a concierge doctor who was like, for the wealthy, where he could just call this person and they're like a specific doctor just for him or maybe a few clients. And if this doctor is prescribing medication to a name that does not exist, you guys all know this, that is a huge crime. They cannot do that. You cannot issue prescriptions to aliases. But because of this preferential treatment, these doctors are willing to look the other way and maybe they're being compensated. These are all things that have to be looked into. So you have rappers, actors, producers, doctors, whoever else is part of these business elites who are all participating in these acts. And just on the surface, it appears that these women were being drugged. and then potentially being sold off for sex acts. And potentially one of those facilitators was Diddy, amongst other people. So, yeah, I think it would absolutely qualify under the racketeering charge and conspiracy charge. And I think it's going to be difficult for Diddy and his team to get out of this.
Well, I mean, even to go um, to a different place, just with Cassie, you remember this video, the surveillance video from the hotel that came out from the 2016 incident. And at that point in this hotel, because that's where these freak offs happened, in this hotel, Cassie's taking part in a freak off, and she does not want to be there anymore. She attempts to leave, and you can see Sean Combs leave the room wearing a towel wrapped around his waist, and he's chasing her down the hall. He catches up with her. He beats her up. He gets her down. He's kicking her. He then drags her back to the room. He takes her purse, which has her money in it. He takes her phone, which is her communication, and he drags her back to the room. So when these ignorant people on the internet who have clearly never been involved in any kind of domestic violence or coercive control situation, when they say, why didn't she just leave? Well, that's what happened when she tried to just leave.
Yep. Yep.
He didn't let her. So this is, you're physically, whether you're coercing somebody to take part in something physically, or you're paying them, or you're threatening them, or blackmailing them, which the government has also had testimony that Sean Combs filmed these sex acts. And then when Cassie would say she didn't want to do it anymore, or when she just displeased him in any way, he would pull those up and he would say, oh, I'm going to send these out. I'm going to release them. That is blackmail. That's another form of coercion, to have somebody take part in an activity that they don't want to take part in. And also, when you talk about the text where she was like, oh, I can't wait for another freak off, she's explained this very thoroughly. And I don't even think anybody who's been in a relationship will say that sometimes you do things for people that you don't want to do because you think it's going to make them happy and it's going to kind of buy you time. And there was a psychologist who testified in the trial about trauma bonds and about coercive control. And she said, this is a method of placating this person, where it's like, I'll just tell them what they need to hear. I got to get through. At the point that he had this blackmail on her and that he financially controlled her, because what I don't think people understand is Sean Combs basically outbid two other record labels to get Cassie as an artist. He then signed her to a 10-album contract.
Yep.
He had her writing and recording music for albums that never saw the light of day. And she described this as busy work. He knew he wasn't going to release her music. He had her keeping busy, thinking that she was doing something to further her career. And she's not getting paid for any of these albums. And he's paying her rent, and he's paying her car payment, and he's telling her, don't worry, I got you. I got enough money for both of us. But then when she would do something he didn't like, he would lock her out of her house, or he would take her car, or he would take her electronics. So when somebody's controlling your career, this is a form of coercive control. He's having her make music that's never going to be released. And you might say, well, that's stupid. How can he benefit off of her financially as an artist if he's not releasing her music? He never wanted to release her music. He signed her because she was a beautiful, gorgeous, talented 19-year-old girl. And he said, I want her as my possession. I want her to belong to me. I bought her, and now she's mine. And she's not going to release music because I don't want her to become successful in her own right. I don't want her to be out there seen in the spotlight. I want her to be in my shadow doing what I want her to do. So he's got her career in his hands. She can't leave because he's got a contract with her. She can't go and sign with another label. He's got a contract with her. She can't do the thing that makes her money.
Yeah.
That is coercive control.
Yeah, and it started from the beginning. There was, I believe, a 17-year difference in age between them. And
17,
what's interesting about this whole thing is that, Diddy's defense team will point out the text messages where she's like, oh, I'm always ready for another freak off or whatever, but they fail to mention the text messages where she's talking about mouth sores and how she's in pain, and him simply saying, I'm sorry. And
My
by the
bad,
way, these mouth
basically. Yeah.
sores are from all this sex that she didn't want to have, to the point where Cassie, and I apologize if this is too much for some people, where she had full blown infections from
UTIs, yeah.
the sexual intercourse, to the point where she was just drinking water as much as she could to try to flush out her system, and she was still engaging in more sex because Diddy would essentially set up the entire thing. He would have her go get waxed, have her look a certain way, have her do her nails, wear a certain outfit, have the lighting in the room a certain way, and he would kind of direct the scene. He would have these male escorts come in, and they would start off with oral sex, and then it would transition to intercourse, and he would just watch and pleasure himself this whole time. But
Oh,
back
Derek,
to what,
hold on. He wouldn't just.
well, I mean, listen, I'm
So
scratching the surface here.
he would basically that he would watch her with the male escort, and it would be a way to like fluff himself,
Yeah,
and then it would take so long because you could never move on to the next step until he said it was time. So if he
correct.
wants to watch her with another man for 15 hours, he's watching her with another man for 15 hours.
Well, didn't
And
they
the
say it
male
would go on for
escorts,
days in some cases?
well, they would, 3 days sometimes. And they would testify, these male escorts would say, at some point, Cassie and Diddy would leave the room. And that's when Cassie and Diddy would have their sexual encounters, usually after the male escort finished, if you
Yep.
understand what I mean.
Yep.
And then Diddy, in the other room with Cassie, would have her use the lubrication that the male escort provided
Mm.
in their sexual encounter, and he would have her like rub it on his nipples and stuff. So
Yeah,
they
he's a
would
sick.
have.
He's a sick dude.
He's sick. He's a
He
sex
also would have
addict.
them urinate on her when the lubrication wasn't enough the other
Well,
way.
no, he
And
would
some,
in her mouth.
yeah, and someone else just said in the chat, and I don't want to fail to mention it. Yeah, she got so many UTIs that the antibiotics that she was being prescribed, they stopped working.
Cipro, which is your
She basically
standard
became immune to
antibiotic,
it.
wouldn't work.
And that's how many times she was
Became
having to
resistant.
be treated for it. So it was bad. Can I talk about, so we obviously we want to talk about that because this is how sick of a guy Diddy is, and on a bigger scale, he wasn't the only one doing it. You think about all the people that have bragged about these Diddy parties over the years. They're regretting it now. But real quickly, when we
The
talk
Diddy
about the
parties and the
racketeering,
freak offs were different, I think. Like,
those were different, but
allegedly.
I'm going to assume that some people were partaking in these activities and it wasn't just an isolated thing with Diddy. But when we go back to the racketeering, and we're going to skip around a little bit here, and this is what this is. This isn't Crime Weekly news. It's more of just conversational. But when you're thinking about the racketeering charge and if they're going to end up having enough for that, because I think that's where I shed the most light, that's where I'm going to be the most valuable to you. It's not just these sexual acts that we're talking about. Kid Cudi, who's an artist, you guys probably know him as well. He dated Cassie down the road a little bit, and there was a point where they basically car bombed his car, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly car bombed his car. They cut open the roof of the car, threw a Molotov cocktail in there, allegedly. And Kid Cudi later had a meeting with, it's almost like a movie. They later had a meeting at a location where Diddy was like, as described as like a Marvel villain,
He said a Marvel
and
supervillain. Yeah.
a Marvel supervillain. And basically at one point while they're shaking hands, Kid Cudi says to him, hey, we're good, but who's going to take care of my
Well,
car?
yeah.
You know what you guys did. And all Diddy did was lean in and go, I don't know what you're talking about. So there's a lot of other crimes involved with this organization, intimidation, and the way they gained control over people. I'm sure there's some bribery in there where individuals who may not even be famous
There is bribery. The
had
hotel
taken place in
security
some of this
guy.
stuff,
Yeah.
and Diddy was recording a lot of it, most of it without their consent, and therefore would have those tapes to use against them later if these individuals who are in high positions decided not to do something for Diddy. Now, what those things are, we may never know the full extent of it, but is it crazy to think that if these sex parties were going on and there were individuals, whether it's politicians or producers or CEOs of big companies, doing things that they don't want to get out there because they're going to these parties knowing that these women are potentially going to do whatever they want them to do, and they're not going to ask questions, whether they're on drugs or whether they're being forced to do it, they don't care. They're going to leave, and then later, maybe a year or two down the road, someone comes to this person and says, hey, you're in charge of this or you're in charge of that. And you know what? We want this person to be in that position. Oh, you're not interested in them. Well, that's funny because a year or two ago, you went to something at, Diddy's place. And man, how bad would it be if that tape got out? Now, I'm not saying it's going to, but man, that would be the end of your career. That would ruin it with your wife, your kids. Your whole life would be over. Man, I really hope that never happens. But you have a good day. And then all of a sudden, that person that they wanted is in that position. So it sounds like a movie, but this is real. This is actually happening.
Yeah, and I mean, he did that to Cassie. You know, she was upset with him. They were coming back from a film festival on a plane. She moved seats so she didn't have to sit next to him. He moved next to her and started playing a video of a freak off on his laptop. And he told her, I'll release this. I'll release these. He said it. It's not, you know, according to her. But once again, there are also people who are like, oh, why is she even testifying? She sued him back in 2023. They settled for $20 million. Why is she testifying? This is an attention grab. Y'all clearly don't understand how federal trials work. I'm sure if Cassie had any choice, she wouldn't be sitting here reliving this and talking about it in such a public way for idiots to judge her and say what they would do in her shoes and in her situation. If she was subpoenaed, her only choices were testify or go to jail. She's not making this decision. It's not an attention grab. And honestly, based what this dude did to her, $20 million is nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No. And there is a distinction, right? That was a civil case. This is a federal case. And I thought I saw in the notes, I don't know if the dates were correct, but was it in November where they filed the lawsuit? Was it within a day that they settled?
The next day. So
okay.
November 16th, I believe, she filed
that was
the
lawsuit. That was the date I'm looking at it right here.
Who I think was Ben Braffman at that time, he came out and he's like, Diddy vehemently denies these allegations. This is insulting. Yeah. The next day they settled. Now, does everybody who settles, it doesn't mean they're guilty? No. In this situation, allegedly, in my opinion, he's $100 million.
Oh, he knew that she knew where the bodies were buried. In my opinion, you know, and we got to qualify this because this is a big celebrity. We're a small channel, but you never know. So we got to qualify everything. But yeah, I think that there's a spectrum, right? You have someone like Jay-Z, and I don't know Jay-Z personally, but Jay-Z was accused.
At the head of it. Allegedly, don't come for me.
Jay-Z was involved in something, and Busby was the lawyer behind it, and he fought it. Jay-Z fought it, and he fought back, and it all got dropped, right? Where you have Diddy, on the other hand, within a day, coming to a deal, $20 million, just like that, just to have Cassie go away. So like Stephanie said, does it automatically mean they're guilty? No, especially when they have that much money. $20 million to him is not like $20 million to us, but it's still a substantial amount of money. Make no mistake about it. And it just does makes you wonder, because you think about all these people. I remember I was born in 84, Puff Daddy, Mace, they were big,
huge,
big parts of my childhood. And I used to look at these white parties, and every celebrity you could think of was attending these events. Now, I think Stephanie makes a good point. You don't want to conflate these white parties with these freak off parties, because they're two separate things. It's very possible that the majority of the celebrities who attended these white parties and these big parties hosted by Diddy in the Hamptons and in Miami had no clue what he was doing behind closed doors. That may have been a separate party. So I'm not automatically conflating the two by saying, yeah, if you were at that Diddy party for the white party, you're definitely part of this. But it does make you ask the question, how much did people know and who was involved?
You also have to, somebody mentioned Usher. Diddy's been doing this forever. He will take these young artists, male or female, and basically trauma bond them to him. He did this to Usher. I believe he did this to Justin Bieber.
Yeah, Usher testified as well, I think, or Usher was involved with it, right?
Not yet. Kid Cudi testified.
Kid Cudi definitely testified.
Usher may testify. We don't know. It's a government case, so they're not going to reveal who's coming. But like I said, we're just at the end of the second week, and we've had multiple people testify. And Cassie's not the only victim, additionally. There's not just Cassie saying these things. Other people are accusing him of the same things. And yeah, he's Jeffrey Epstein. So it's like, it seems like a movie, but we also know it happens all the time. And it's all coming to the light now. Their power, that Hollywood's golden age is over. And I think that so many of these celebrities just haven't gotten the memo yet, but they've spent decades abusing people, using their power, their influence, their money to get what they want and to continue this lifestyle of basically like, we're kings, we're gods on Mount Olympus. We can do whatever we want. We don't live by the same rules as these peasants who buy our records and watch our movies and keep us in the lap of luxury. We can do whatever we want. We can take drugs and drive. We can drink and drive. We can abuse our spouses and get it caught on surveillance and then pay somebody off, and nothing's ever going to happen to us. The underbelly of the entertainment industry is being exposed. I mean, look at Ashton Kutcher, okay? This man runs a nonprofit for sex trafficking. He's also behind the scenes, when he didn't think anybody was going to see or know, writing a letter to the judge on the Danny Masterson case, asking that he go easy on him because Danny Masterson's such a good guy. And now Ashton Kutcher, who also is tight with Diddy, we all know who he is. We all see who he is. It's disgusting. They act one way in public, and then in private, they do whatever the hell they want and think that they're never going to be held accountable. And it's done. And I love it.
Yeah, I mean, my final words on this one is simply, I really want to see how deep these roots go, because he couldn't have done this by himself. There's a lot of people who were covering things up, making things go away, and lying for him. I'll give you one example, and there's a lot of them, by the way. I'm talking hundreds of people knew what was going on exactly, and they did whatever Diddy told them to do to make sure it stayed under wraps as long as it did. But I'm going to give you one example. So for most of the time in the beginning, when Cassie first got linked up with Diddy, she had a boyfriend, okay? And Diddy knew about it and really didn't give a shit.
Not
and
for most of the time, for just like
the beginning of it,
yeah.
So he knew that, didn't care. And there were multiple occasions where he would try to separate her from her boyfriend. There was an event he invited her to. The boyfriend showed up. He made a big stink about it, said that it was just for her. But then there was even an occasion where they went as far as creating a flyer for this fictitious performance that Cassie was going to be performing at, to make her think that she was going to be performing at this event so that the boyfriend wouldn't come because it was a work event. And it was all a lie. There was no performance, no event. He just wanted to get her alone. And according to Cassie, that was the occasion where allegedly he got her drugged up again and they had sex for the first time. And this was after her telling him on multiple occasions that she had a boyfriend. So
the boyfriend worked for him.
That's right. So Diddy had a lot of people. It wasn't Diddy who printed up this flyer. It wasn't Diddy who put in the back work to make sure it looked like this was an actual event, so it wouldn't raise any flags for Cassie or her boyfriend. There was a team of people who understood what he was all about, what his motives were, and they did it anyways. So I hope, obviously, Diddy's held accountable for what he's done, but I want heads to roll with everybody else, because if they're not doing it for him, they're a lackey and they'll do it for somebody else.
Well,
so everybody's got to pay.
There's one of his former assistants, I think it was 2007 to 2009, this man worked for Diddy, and he's testifying under, having immunity. And basically because he witnessed the abuse of Cassie and he did nothing to stop it. We also have security guards who not only witnessed the abuse of Cassie and did nothing to stop it, but in certain scenarios chased her down when she ran away and brought her back to Diddy. This is a RICO charge.
Yeah, agreed. They're going to articulate it. They're going to build the case. They're going to prove it over a period of time. Maybe he'll be found guilty. Maybe he won't. I hate to say it, but when I'm talking about people that might be involved with Diddy or others like Diddy, it goes all the way up to legislators and judges. Mm-hmm. No shocker there. So I don't know who's in his pockets, and I'm concerned about it because justice is not blind. The wealthy do not live by the same laws as everybody else, and I don't know who is on the payroll or who they have dirt on. I just don't know. So I'm really interested to see how this whole thing plays out, but I'm glad we're doing this, because in what we do on Crime Weekly News, and especially on Crime Weekly, it's more structured. There's a chronological order to it. We have to get through certain points. With these lives, and we used to do them back in the day, Stephanie and I want to get back to this. We want to do these bonus episodes slash lives. We're gonna, we're not gonna, we want to under promise, over deliver here. So we'd like to do them every week. We can't promise that's going to happen, but we're going to hop on here at least once, if not more, a month, and periodically just talk to you guys. We want to do it where we set it up. We want to perfect it. And when we do, I know a lot of you have been DMing us and emailing us for the YouTube memberships because it comes with all these cool features. It comes with the special emojis that we create that you'll be able to use in the chat. It'll highlight your comments in the chat and all the videos. We'll do bonus content. We'll have Q&As where tonight we're talking about a specific topic, but we're also going to do Q&As where we hop on and just discuss the week's case or what's going on with Crime Weekly or Criminal Coffee. So bear with us. We have some plans going forward. We want to continue to improve Crime Weekly, not just stay stagnant. And we appreciate everyone who has supported us so far, but there's more to do. And again, we want to get back to the roots of what we were doing because that's when it was the most fun.
Yes. I just had something in my head I was going to say.
I was like, wow. Yes.
It was there, and as soon as your voice stopped, it also stopped.
Stage fright. No, I mean, I think, like I said, I think it's great what we're doing, and from the comments in here, that's what we like to see, and this will be available. If you guys may be hearing this on audio, it'll also be on video. We'll keep it up, and for now, it's probably just going to be available like this, and it'll be just, it'll pop up when it pops up, but once we get on a roll, we're going to get it rolling. We've also talked about a Discord as well. I know a lot of people do that. These are all things that we can do under the YouTube membership. I got to go through the details of it. Our number one priority every week is a good Crime Weekly news and a good Crime Weekly. But now with our lives in order and we're getting things together, we're looking for ways of improving on the experience with Crime Weekly because it's not just a podcast, it's a community.
And you want to take a couple questions before
we can take a couple questions. Why not? It doesn't have to be Diddy related. We'll do that on these. These are great. We'll do the bonus episodes, and we will take a couple questions at the end. One that just came up right here from Fuzali, Stephanie and Derek. You two have helped me through so much. I admire you and respect you both. Happy to be part of Crime Weekly and Criminal Coffee Co. family. Well, that wasn't a question, but thank you so much. And that's amazing. It almost makes me a little teary-eyed, but no, it is amazing. And we wouldn't be here without you guys. And again, we know you guys have been with us through the ups and downs. We are human beings just like you. And we're very fortunate to be in the position we're in. And we don't want to take that for granted. So we're going to keep kicking out great episodes. The Darlie Routier series came out today. It's already getting a lot of engagement on it. We knew it would, but we want to do more. We remember where we were 5 years ago when we started December 4th of 2020. And we're going to get back to that. And with the accessibility of Patreon and YouTube memberships and all these different things you can do, like keychains and stuff you can have for different tiers. And I'm looking into all of it. So it's coming. You just have to bear with us. Jess says, Derek is such a reality star. I don't know what that means. That could be a compliment. That could be an insult. Either way, I will take it because it's true. It's technically true.
What do you do for fun outside of the podcast?
You go first.
I don't know.
Keep it PG, Stephanie. Keep it PG.
I have to have a better work-life balance. I'm going to be honest. I don't do much for fun because it's not just the podcast. It's YouTube, and then I have the kids. So I work all day. It's 7:00 almost. I'll go home, maybe eat. I don't know. Get the kids ready for bed. We'll hang out a little bit. And then I'll go to sleep and wake up and do it all over again. So I really do. I need a better work-life balance. What do I do for fun?
I'll answer that in a second as well. Another person said, we have Indigo Twin says, I appreciate you both so much. Is there a specific case that got you into true crime or inspired you to be an officer, Derek? So first I'll answer the other question. For me, just like you, we got a lot going on, but I do like fishing. Haven't fished once this year, but that is the plan. And I'm really into 3D printing. I like using the software to create different 3D models and try to print them and see if I can make them functional, and using my soldering iron to install electronics into I've been doing the building of electronic devices for years. Stephanie knew this. I'd build like alarm clocks. Now I can build the plastics parts of it to encase those electronics. So it's kind of full circle. And I do like the modeling software that's out there. It kind of gets my brain going and kind of goes aligned with like the detective thinking. So I like it. As far as this question, for me, grew up just like a lot of people, had a interesting childhood. Had some times where I had to call police as a kid due to circumstances in my own home, and I remembered at that time the phone had buttons like a police shield, a fire, and then like an emergency button, like a rescue button. And I would hit the police button. I would sit with my brothers and sisters, and the best feeling in the world was hearing, because the window was right next to the phone, was hearing the cops coming, because I knew whatever was going on, it was going to be over. So as I got older, I wanted to play professional baseball, but realized quickly that wasn't going to happen. Took my degree in criminal justice and had an opportunity to work in the city where I grew up. And there were many instances as a police officer where I showed up to a call and there were kids there who had called us. And so life kind of came full circle at that point. How about you, Stephanie? Was there a specific case that got you into this? I know you started doing makeup and then you transitioned. So what was that first case that you covered?
Oh.
You don't even know it.
No,
Wow.
I mean, that would
Stumped
be
you.
a long time ago that got me into true crime. Not that got me into talking about it, but it was the H.H. Holmes case. I read a book about H.H. Holmes, and I like history, you know that. So it kind of merged those two things together for me, and then I started kind of going down a rabbit hole with that, and it was gone. I loved true crime. That was it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take one more. Let's get a good one. I know some people are mentioning different cases in here. For example, Karen Reed. That's not going to be a question at the end. We're going to hop on here a few times. That'll be something where instead of it taking up a Crime Weekly news, we may talk about the Karen Reed situation on the Three Lives because it's just shooting the shit as the updates come in. So that's what void this will fill. But one other question. You're seeing them too, right, Stephanie? If you see one you like, pick it out.
They're confirming we will be in Denver for CrimeCon this year. Yes, yes.
100%. And we're going all out at CrimeCon this year. It's going to be massive. There's over 6,000 people already signed up to attend. We have our code that you guys can use to let us know you're coming to see us. We exceeded the previous number, which was our highest already, and we're still a few months out. So we have plans when we're out there. We're actually renting a double booth. We're going to have criminal coffee. We're going to have Crime Weekly. We're going to have merch. We're going to be there with our team. We might even do a podcast. I'm talking to CrimeCon about that. We might just do like a Q&A like this. So we have some big things coming for CrimeCon for sure. We're excited about it. Oh, Alyssa Turney. Yes, I saw Alyssa Turney right now she's trying to get the DNA for that case. If you follow Alyssa Turney, she posted something on her Instagram. She tagged me, she tagged Stephanie, she tagged Crime Weekly, and I shouldn't say she, you guys tagged all these people and Criminal Coffee. I saw it, so thank you. Immediately reached out to her on Instagram and through text, offered our services as far as Criminal Coffee and the funding, also offered our services as far as break and bringing genealogists in to do the work. And she responded on Instagram and then sent me a private text. I won't say everything she said because it was case specific. I will say that she thanked me and said she thinks she has it covered, but if it changed, she'd get back to us. So thank you for tagging us and making us aware of it. I'm really happy to see that when you guys are seeing other content creators post when they're in need of help, that our tag is like the top most liked tag on that comment post. So that's pretty cool, and it means a lot.
They want to know if we knew each other before we did the podcast.
Simple answer, no. I found you. I just Googled YouTube true crime creators, and yeah, basically I slid into her DMs. One more question, because I think this is a good one, and it kind of relates to the YouTube live that we're doing today. This is from Random Thoughts. How do you prevent being cynical and burnout? And I think that's a really good question because it can happen to anyone, especially when you're doing something like this every single week for 5 years. So how do you prevent that?
I don't prevent that.
You don't. That's correct.
No. In fact, I just saw a video, and it was like a neurobiologist, and she said, me and my colleagues, we do not consume like the news or stuff like that because we're so well aware about neuroplasticity and how it can work to make new positive connections in your brain, but it can also go the opposite way where it can make bad connections in your brain, where it can cause anxiety, where it can cause this cynicism that Random Thoughts is speaking of. And so they don't want to have this negative mindset, so they purposely do not consume this kind of media. With us, this is our job, and also a passion.
You
So
worked it out live for us there. That was great.
so we do consume it every single day, and it does cause cynicism. Yeah. And I mean, I burn out every 3 months. I know when it's happening, I can tell. And I'm like, oh, you should really take a break. But then I try to take a break and I just feel guilty. And I'm like, oh, there's so much stuff that needs to be, I can't just sit here and do nothing or relax. I definitely can't do that in my house because my computer's there and I can work, or I could do this, or I can clean. So it's just, I burn out regularly. I have ADHD too, so I feel like that's just, it goes along with the territory. You don't have a shut off valve. You shut off when your brain is like, all right, we're done. We have nothing left for you.
Yeah. So on the surface level, for me, just like any job, sometimes you come into work and you don't feel like working. And I think that's the benefit of having a duo, a team, a friendship, where there are some episodes I come on here and I'm just not into it. I had a bad day, a bad week, or I'm tired, or I don't feel good. And I feel like with Stephanie and I, when we sense that from the other person, we usually are more friendly, and it's almost annoying because we know that the other person's in a bad mood. And so we kind of pick each other up. And I'd like to think I do the same for Stephanie as well. Certain weeks where she's just not feeling it, I'm like, hey, let's just bang it out. And on a more personal level, just like a lot of people out there, there's a level of appreciation and thankfulness that comes into it where you're like, oh man, I have to go record tomorrow for 4 hours and then I have to upload all this stuff. And it's like, no, wait a second. Really think about this. You get the privilege of doing that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that to be cliche. There are people out there that I know, that are working 60 hours a week in a job they don't like to provide for their family. We enjoy what we do. We have a community of people who support us and support the cases we talk about. So I get the privilege of being in this beautiful studio with amazing people covering a topic and doing what I love and getting paid for it. That's a privilege. And it's not something I can take for granted, because as quick as we gained this following, it can also go away if you don't appreciate it. So when I think about that, I go from being, a little bummed that I got to get up in the morning to most of the time being fired up. Like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm pumped. My life does not suck. So that's what it does. That's what it is for me.
It's just about knowing when to rest, which I don't think either of us do.
Yeah, we do have a problem with that. But if we did rest too much, we wouldn't be where we are. That's why we are where we are.
Yeah, I don't know.
We put in the work. I'm doing YouTube lives from my bed after a hernia surgery. I mean, this is not normal.
I mean,
it's not normal.
For multiple reasons, I'm definitely more cynical now than I was 10 years ago. I'm definitely not even close to being the same person. And is that good? Yeah, because you kind of understand the reality of what's out there. You can protect yourself, you can protect the people you love. But is it bad as in you're just constantly remaining vigilant, hyper vigilant? You're kind of, feeling anxiety all the time. When your kids aren't around, you're worried about them because anything could happen these days. It's not a great place to live. It kind of makes you want to just get off the grid. But you can't.
But you can't. But like, we're all human. We all go through it. Ups and downs, peaks and valleys. It's just trying to stay even keel. But I think this was good. I know we went a little longer tonight, about 45 minutes. I think normally to make a stronger commitment to it and to make a stronger commitment to our kids to make sure we're not here all night, because it is a Friday night, just like everybody, probably do these again once or twice a month, maybe more. Stephanie's actually probably waving to her kids right now.
Yeah.
And Bella's coming into frame. Here she is. There she is. What's up, Bella? So she can't hear me, but
she just said I'm an iPad kid.
I'm an iPad kid. Yeah. You know what? See, just like you guys, we got these real guilts too because our kids throw that at us. You know, I've been sitting on my iPad all day. You've been working, so yeah, we all deal with it. We're not just cartoon characters. So, final words from you, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi, Bella.
Hi.
If you're on audio, Bella's waving at you right now.
This is how I prevent burnout
There,
because you can't be around this happy little face. Oh, look, they're waving at you.
there you go. Look at that. And they're doing the hard eyes, Bella.
Oh, hi, Bella.
Hi.
All right, I'll be done. 5 minutes.
That's a perfect segue right there to end this thing. You, Stephanie, final words from you.
Uh,
You're not doing too well right now. You're burnt out. You want to talk about burnt out? You're looking at it, folks.
I recorded a video today.
Exactly.
It was
I
a
can
long
tell.
one.
Well, my final words will be we appreciate you guys being here. Look forward to more of these in the future. I love that there's no preparation really going into it. We're just discussing what you guys are talking about, what you guys are interested in. I hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. I know what Memorial Day is all about. We obviously want to think about and respect all the men and women who died serving this country, but this is also an opportunity to connect with your family members and obviously honor that, but also have a great weekend and decompress and have
Not
some
if
fun.
you're in on the Northeast. It's just been raining. Now, I think Derek called me today and he's like, "When are we gonna go live?" And I was like, "Is it raining where you are?"
Yeah. And in fact, actually, I just realized you and I will be recording part 2 on Memorial Day. So that's fun.
God damn.
Didn't think of that one, did we? You didn't either. Right?
No,
Wow. That sucks.
tis what it is.
Hey, you want to talk about cynical and burnt out? You just witnessed it right there. But
It's raining
guys,
anyways. Who cares?
it's raining. You're right. Guys, we appreciate you. Stay safe out there. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week. Until then, have a good night.
Bye. Oh, I have to end it.